already miss our minimum tab amount. Lay it on me.
We are the muses, goddesses of the arts and proclaimers of heroes. Heroes like Hercules.
We're not covering Hercules today.
Our story actually begins long before Hercules, many eons ago. Back when the world was new.
Except based off your Wikipedia order, we're starting with Castor and Pollux here.
That's true, but that's only up there nominally. It's up there because those are the official servants you've given me.
I have them last in my list. Just gonna slide that one back a bit. You want to lead us with Chaos?
Do we need to do Chaos and then Kronos?
We can. That would be cool.
All right. So
now we're starting back when the world was new.
The planet Earth was down on its luck, and everywhere gigantic brutes called Titans. Oh wait, that's too late. This is literally before that.
Yeah. For Joyce, everyone, we're doing the Greek gods today, as well as Castor and Pollux, so the Dioscuri.
So this is is this officially, outside of updates, the first mega video of the year?
First mega, we had the Hassans.
Hassan's was not a mega video.
Well,
Hassan's just was long.
We'll see how long this comes out to see if it ends up being officially a mega video.
What's our cutoff on mega? Does it have to officially hit 2 hours?
I think it has to be above 2 hours.
Yeah, okay. It has to be above 2 hours. All right.
I'm sure we'll get an idea of whether or not this is a mega video by the time you're done with your history section here.
Well, I feel, you know what? Let's just make sure I've got everything in a kind of decent...
You can choose whatever order you want to present these, by the way.
Move that up. Move that up a little. Leave that at the end. Okay, so we'll start right here. So, Greek creation. So I'm gonna scroll down to here so that we can kind of start here. So, chaos. It was a primordial entity existence, right? Entity, not a great word. Existence, not a great word. It was what existed before everything, right? Out of chaos was born the primordial deities, right? Like Ether and Erebus, Eros, like Night, Nyx, and all those sort of things. And a lot of these deities, right, are associated with chaos. Like Nyx also has like some associations with chaos and stuff like that. So does Erebus. And here you have chaos as like a void state, basically, right? So chaos is kind of the start of the Greek cosmology. Generally, this idea of like a void that something is born into is the start of most mythologies around the world. The Egyptians also have like a primordial void.
First there was nothing, then there was something.
Yeah, first there was nothing, then there was something. Chaos was the nothing, everything else is the something.
Arguably, it's the start of even our scientific belief.
And that's entirely true. Then there was the Big Bang. We've actually mentioned this concept before, Chaos Kampf, when we talked about Tiamat. But that's slightly different than chaos itself. But essentially it is the void, the nothingness. Born from chaos were Erebus and Nyx, darkness and night. At least according to Hesiod's Theogony, which is up on the shelf somewhere. We've talked about it before. We've specifically talked about the Theogony before. I don't remember where, but I do. Also out of chaos came Gaia, Tartarus, and Eros, right? So you've got Earth and that sort of thing. And then, according to some versions,
By the way, I want to shout out to the people here that Sekhie is going into this with no notes at all.
I felt like it was largely unnecessary in this case. First of all, you guys don't all need like a blow-by-blow breakdown of every single deity and every single myth associated with them, first of all. And second of all, I was that child. I am still that child.
She's got a lot of this committed to memory.
The evidence of me being that child is up there and down there, specifically.
That the Percy Jackson's down there?
Nope. I'll do you one better. We've now featured We've now featured 3 of these on the channel before. Actually, yeah, so perfection. I needed that. So, of Chaos was born Gaia, Tartarus, Eros, Night, Day, and Erebus. So that's Nyx and Day, right? And from Gaia was born Uranus, right? Or Oranos. Depending on how you transliterate the name, you get Oranos, who is basically the sky, right? So he's her son. In some versions, her brother. Also her husband. For the intents and purposes of the deities being born here. Interestingly enough, we're going to make a slight side tangent to the fact that, according to a lot of stories, Aphrodite is not born of a union between any two deities, but instead, I believe it is the dick of Oranos?
The severed
Kronos?
ball sack of actually, I believe it was not Kronos, it was...
Oranos, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so Kronos cuts off the dick or ball sack of Oranos, drops it into the ocean, and the sea foam that creates, Aphrodite is born out of. So in some ways, Aphrodite is actually considered more primordial than the Titans, right?
Because she's one generation up from Zeus.
Yeah, no. Well, that would put her contemporary with the Titans, but in some ways, people consider her to be primordial, which makes sense with the concept of, like, just love and passion in general. Like, that is such a strong and emotional concept that it doesn't really make sense with, like, the 12 Olympians or even the Titans. It just doesn't quite move in the way you're thinking. So that's how that goes. We're gonna ignore the Roman shit. Okay, so based on the list you gave me, we've kind of got a little bit of a roundup of gods. So basically, that's the important part about chaos, right? Born from chaos comes night, comes chaos, night, Erebus, Tartarus. From Erebus and Nyx come Gaia, right? And from Gaia starts this happy family tree.
The Kronos tree.
Yep. So, fucking Gaia gets together with Oranos. I'm gonna say Oranos just so you don't giggle every time I say. So I'm gonna say Oranos. And they produce the 14 Titans, I believe. Are we looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? 14-ish. 14-ish. Notably, there's a couple names in here that we've mentioned before. Oceanus, Mnemosyne, Rhea is going to be important, and Themis actually is going to be important later on. So Kronos slices up his father, right?
As you do.
As one does. He slices up his father, and then disposes of him and becomes the king of the gods, like the lord of this kind of mythical pantheon of deities. And the Titans reign during this, which is one of the Hesiod's Theogony's kind of 5 golden ages. We talked about Astrea being part of like the last of the golden ages. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the other kind of golden ages mentioned in the works of the work and days of Hesiod. This is the first one, obviously, because this is your first pantheon, like in the way that a pantheon is typically set up, right? Interestingly enough, there are some productions from some of the older Titans. You get connections through to Epimetheus, Prometheus, and Atlas, and Pandora, and through them like Deucalion and Pyrrha and Helen, theoretically. But those tend to shift with the storytelling that you're reading and who's telling the story and that sort of thing. So, you know. Also, the Titans are siblings of the Hecatonchires and the Cyclops, the 100-handed ones, and the one-eyed ones. And there's a couple other siblings, the Gigantes, the Erinyes, which are the Furies, and the Meliae, which were nymphs. So, just like, keeping in the family, just like his father did, he marries his sister Rhea. And they have 6 bouncing babies. However, he eats the first 5. And I believe the official order of those is something along the lines of like, I think it's Demeter is the oldest, followed at some point by Hades, Poseidon, Hera, and the fucking Hestia. I always forget Hestia. Hestia is the one I forget. And then finally Zeus. Zeus was the 6th born, right? And what Kronos did was he was afraid, rightfully so, of his sons, right, or his children overthrowing him the way he overthrew his father. So for the first 5 babies that Rhea had, she brought them to him and he ate them, swallowed them whole.
Man, Alabama got crazy.
Yeah. So, and that's what I think either Demeter or Hades is officially the oldest by most tellings. But either way, Zeus is the youngest of the 6 original Olympians because these are the people that would become the Olympians. Mm-hmm. So, then we come to Zeus, right? He's depicted with this sickle, right? The scythe. That's what he used to castrate Ouranos. And then generally he's a patron of harvest and often identified with Saturn, the Roman deity. Yeah. But the Titans don't have associations as solid as the Olympians did because the Titans were not necessarily worshipped as like the Titans so much as they were part of the story of the Olympians, and the Olympians were the ones that were worshipped, right, in ancient Greece. The Titans were merely part of their story.
This is the deep lore shit.
This is the deep lore shit. This is how you get to the Titans. I think, to be honest, the story of the children is Kronos' most well-known myth, and the story of him killing his father. Although there is a release from Tartarus in the Theogony and Iliad that is mirrored in Disney's Hercules, briefly. So we move on to Zeus, and the reason why we get to move on to Zeus is because Zeus was not eaten. Oh my God. Could you imagine that? Because guess what? Rhea got smart. Rhea took her baby, right, and hid him away in a cave with a nursemaid. And she gave Kronos a rock.
I got a rock.
Wrapped like a baby, and he ate it. Zeus was raised far away, raised from childhood up to thing. I think there's a specific goat, Amalthea. It's the name of the specific goat, according to some people. But basically, he grows up and then he decides that he is gonna come back and stop his father. And in some tellings of the story, he collaborates with his mother Rhea to give Kronos some sort of like drink that makes him regurgitate his siblings up, basically. So that his siblings are kind of, because they're not dead. They've just been living in Kronos' stomach, maturing for like the last however many years, because they're thrown up like fully matured. Like they're thrown up as full
wild
deities.
Childhood stories.
Right? And you know what the worst part is? That's not even the weirdest birth stories we've got going on here. So congratulations. All of a sudden we have the original 6 Olympians. Zeus is associated with the sky, lightning, thunder, storms. He's the king of the gods. Hades is the king under the earth and of the underworld. He is not the god of death. He is the god of the underworld and all the riches under the crust of the earth. You've got Hera, goddess of marriage and family. Hestia is the goddess of the hearth. Poseidon is the god of water, the ocean, earthquakes, especially because earthquakes were well known. And then you've got, who have I forgotten? Anyone? I don't think I've forgotten anyone. Hera, Hestia, Demeter, goddess of grain, grain harvest.
We are very familiar with her on this channel.
Yes, we very much are. We've done a lot with Demeter. I think, to be honest, the most notable myths of Zeus are going to be involving this list here, which is the children of Zeus, and I think
fucked everything.
I want to say children. He's got his own. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about the fact that this man would do anything for Poon. This man would do anything for Poon. This man turned into so many things for Poon. Look at this shit. A bear, a vulture, a fire, a serpent again, a goose, a shepherd, a swan, a lapwing, a cuckoo, an eagle, an ant, a bull, a shower of gold, a phoenix, notably once. And so on.
Can I just comment that, like, The Percy Jackson series is just a series about the consequences of gods having affairs. When you really break it down.
Yeah, so Zeus has, and I want to be nice about this, right? But Zeus has literally dozens of children. Dozens. I'd say conservatively, 80% of Greek myths involve a child of Zeus. Of which Castor and Pollux, technically one of them is a son of Zeus.
Yep.
And we're going to get to that last, because that's what I have last. But I think that the best place to go now might be the god. Well, okay, so we touched on Poseidon, king of the sea.
Yes.
Poseidon is actually married. He does have a consort, Amphitrite, typically. And he does have some children, most notably Theseus, of, notable mythic flame. Polyphemus, that's the Cyclops from the Odysseus story. Orion, we talked about Orion on the channel. It's going to bring that back up when we get to Artemis. Pegasus is also notably a child. And then there's assorted more. Look, Poseidon also had a lot of kids. Poseidon just fucked less people. On a scale of 1 to 10, he fucked less.
Fucked like a 7 or an 8, while Zeus fucked an 11.
He still fucked, but he fucked less. You know what I mean? Because I do believe, he's got a much smaller
Body
section
count?
about children. But yeah. Interestingly enough, Poseidon is said to have had male lovers.
Good for him.
We stan. Notably, one of them was Patroclus. Which is definitely a lie. We all know that Patroclus was gay for Achilles. Do you mind if I close Poseidon? I think I've covered as much as you need me to cover.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So, we'll touch on Demeter, since you had her up on my list specifically. Interestingly enough, Demeter is one of the original Olympians that, besides Hera, that did have a child with Zeus. Notably, according to most mythology, Persephone, or Kore, is the daughter of Zeus and Demeter.
Really reframes the stories about Hades taking Persephone in web comics, don't they?
Uncle Hades? I don't like that.
Sweet home
Alabama. But Demeter is the goddess of kind of the harvest, agriculture, crops, grains, fertility of the earth. Notably, according to a lot... So this is my own perception of mythology, right? But according to a lot of what I've read, it seems like in a lot of ways, she and Poseidon were actually regarded as far more powerful over the lives of the ancient peoples than Zeus ever was. Like, Zeus may have been the king of the gods, but he affected storms. Demeter and Poseidon affected tsunamis, earthquakes, flooding, grains, harvest, like major parts of people's everyday lives. So, like, Demeter, like, there's a reason why we have the fucking Eleusinian mysteries, right? And the Dionysian mysteries. Because guess what? Two things were important. Demeter, grain, harvest, and wine. And partying. And fertility. Like, two very popular things. So, like, for example, like the Homeric hymn to Demeter, I've read that. And it's actually really beautifully written. But basically, that's the important part here, is that Demeter is the mother of Persephone. She had Persephone with Zeus. She does not take a consort of her own. Demeter remains single, typically, in the pantheon. Interestingly enough, of the Hestia isn't often included in some renderings of the Greek pantheon of like 12 Olympians, because Hestia gave up her seat to Dionysus. When either Dionysus or Hephaestus, one of the two of them. Both are sons of Zeus.
Keeping it in the family.
Keeping it in the fucking family. Speaking of sons of Zeus,
Ares, the god of war.
one of the only people to be born of the union between Zeus and Hera. like full siblings. But Ares is the god of war. And courage. Not strategic war, that was Athena, but Ares is the god of war. He has an on-again, off-again thing with Aphrodite a lot, but Aphrodite's technically married to Hephaestus, which presents a problem in some myths. According to mythology, he did have a child. He's had 2 children, at least, with Aphrodite, Phobos and Deimos, fear and terror. And I believe, according to some stories, Eros, or Cupid, is also attributed to the 2 of them. Notably, Ares shows up in a lot of different stories, right? Like he shows up in the Trojan War. All of the gods show up in the Trojan War. Literally, the pantheon just splits down the middle. Half listen to one god, half listen to the other. They all support their own heroes. That's the whole point of the Trojan War. Would have been 10 books shorter if the gods hadn't been involved.
The Trojan War is just the Marvel Civil War series.
Yeah, pretty much.
All the big heroes that were alive at that time period and all the gods fight each other.
He's also supposed to be the father of the Amazons. The mythological kind of patron deity and father of the Amazonians. Yeah. As you can see, his siblings, because of his parentalhood by Zeus, are numerous and many.
Recontextualizes Wonder Woman. Doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm actually going to see. Guess who was important in Sparta?
Ares.
Guess where I'm going this summer?
Near Sparta.
Sparta. A little bit of context. You guys may see some posts on the channel about that, but I got accepted to an archaeological dig in Sparta. I'm like 3 or 4 miles from the Spartan Acropolis.
If we have any Greek viewership, look out.
Yeah. Sekhie's coming. Anyways. Let's see. Alright, speaking of more children of Zeus. Remember I said that we should remember the Titan Themis? Yeah, this is why. So, Zeus has an affair with the Titan Themis, right? And then he turns her into a fly, right? And swallows her, right? She's stuck in his skull, buzzing around. And he gets really, really irritated one day, and he's got like a massive headache. And he asks Hephaestus to like crack his head open, and Athena is born fully formed out of his head once it's cracked open. Unfortunately, this does not kill him.
That would save a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so this is Athena Parthenos, if you go by her nomen in Athens. She is the goddess of strategic warfare and wisdom, and often handicraft, stuff like that. Because you have the story of Arachne coming from here. Arachne brags that she is a better weaver than Athena herself, and in return, Athena turns her into a spider, forcing her to spin webs forever and ever, only to be destroyed by human hands.
So what you're saying is, it's Athena's fault.
There's also the story of Medusa with Athena and Poseidon.
Yep.
Depending on your version of the myth, Medusa either steps out of her role of a virgin at Athena's temple to fuck Poseidon, or Poseidon rapes her, and Athena punishes her by turning her into Medusa. And then also gives Perseus literally her own shield, Aegis, to kill her. To like help kill her. So really, no matter what Medusa did, she got punished the most, because Poseidon saw virtually no consequences for this.
Poseidon never sees consequences for that
Poseidon
shit.
never sees consequences for anything. Notably, another main myth of hers is the one of her becoming the patron of Athens. The people were looking for a patron, and Zeus and Athena both gave the city something. Zeus gave them a fountain, but the fountain was of salt water, and then Athena gave them the olive tree, and they deemed the olive tree to be far more useful, and Athena became their patron goddess. Interestingly enough, for those of you who know that she has a temple called the Parthenon on Parthenon Hill in Athens, there is also a temple to Poseidon on the same hill. It's just smaller. And honestly, in some ways, it's even more impressive. So it's not as if they shunned one to favor the other. It's just she is the patron of that city. Actually, her title, Athena Parthenos, refers to her status as a virgin goddess, much like Artemis. She is one of the virgin goddesses. Okay. So also, she's one of the major goddesses for the Trojan War. Because that was Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite are the patron goddesses of the Trojan War. Athena says to Paris that she will give him wisdom, right? Hera says that she will give him something else. And Athena offers the most beautiful woman in the world. And Paris picks the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships, which started the Trojan War.
Look forward to our Hector Paris video coming eventually.
Coming eventually. Okay. Hephaestus, another child of Zeus. I just need like a fucking tally mark here for all the children of Zeus in this video. So Hephaestus is the Greek god of blacksmith, metalworking, carpentry, craftsmanship, and artisans, often equated with volcanoes and the Roman god Vulcan. Hera is his mother, so he and Ares are essentially full siblings. But he was born lame, and so Hera cast him off Mount Olympus, right? Because she was like, "Nah, this ain't it, fam. This ain't it." So that's super nice, wonderful of her. Absolutely
this guy has
wonderful.
like a Doofenshmirtz level backstory.
A little bit, yeah. You know what the funny thing is? So we talk about the word robot being invented in like the 19th century by Asimov. So robots existed before that, obviously, in fiction and mythology, but however, they didn't use the name robot. For example, Hephaestus created like what essentially accounts to robots to help him with his infirmity, but they were called automatons, right? Because that was the Greek word for it, automaton. Jesus. So notably, Hephaestus is the one who created the Aegis breastplate and Athena's shield. He also created the girdle of Aphrodite. I know Eros' bow and arrows we mentioned were crafted by him in that video. Achilles' armor was as well. Apparently he worked with the Cyclops, according to a lot of myths. And then remember, we mentioned him in the Orion video to do with Sedalion, right? He helped blinded Orion in that version of that myth. And then Prometheus stole fire for man from Hephaestus' forge. Yeah. Notably. Yeah. Yeah, see, Homer has the automaton story. Self-operating machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Handmaidens wrought of gold in the semblance of living maids, understanding in their hearts and speech and strength.
It's funny how much we assume the ancient past didn't think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't in the Greek times, didn't they actually have the steam engine? They just didn't have the means of making it?
The Greeks had steam technology. They had no use for it.
Yeah, that was it.
Steam technology is uniquely useful in certain eras and places in the world and in history. Ancient Greece was not one of those places. It was simply not viable for what they were doing, right? Like, they had the theory of it, but there was no point using it. It was uniquely useful in the British Industrial Revolution because of coal deposits and the need to get at coal deposits in water-flooded mines.
But it's interesting that these things don't come from nothing, yet when we think of robots, we think of Asimov as the one that came up with the concept.
Yeah.
But in reality, these things have been in like little notebooks and works for years.
Yeah, very much so. So there's the story of Hephaestus and Aphrodite, They end up married. That was a bad idea. Supposedly Hephaestus was wanted to be with Athena as well in several myths. Which honestly would kind of make sense, in mythology. It kind of does. They're both craft related and stuff like that. In the Trojan War, he sided with the Greeks. I feel like here I just need to start giving people where they sided in the Greeks, to be honest. You know what I mean? So, funny enough, Hephaestus actually does not have that many children. He did not fuck with too many people. There are a few, but not too many. Okay. Artemis and Apollo. I don't have Apollo's page open, but I figure we should cover both of them. They are both the children of Zeus. Their mother was Leto. She bragged that she was better at having children than... Was it Aphrodite? Did she piss off Aphrodite? Hera. She pissed off Hera.
Usually it's Hera or Aphrodite.
Yeah.
It's always one of those
Hera
two.
or Aphrodite. It's very rarely anyone else. It's always Hera or Aphrodite. Anyways, she said that she was a better mother than Hera, and Hera got mad at that. And it was because she had so many children. And so Leto was told she couldn't give birth anywhere, and Delos gave refuge to her. Artemis was born first. She helped in the delivery of Apollo. That is why she is partially the goddess of childbirth. She's also the goddess of nature, wildlife, all that stuff. We covered her in our Artemis and Orion video. We didn't cover Apollo. Apollo is her twin brother, goddess of the sun, or god of the sun, where she's goddess of the moon. He drives the sun chariot. And Apollo is really a rambunctious character. Apollo is almost on par with Zeus in terms of how much he fucks around. But Apollo isn't married like Zeus is to another goddess.
We will come back to Apollo on the fate side at some point. We're not going to be covering him much at all today.
Yeah, not today. See, Apollo does not have an official consort. So he can have so many children.
That's just him fucking around in his 20s.
He has a lot of children, including notable names like Orpheus, Asclepius, Apollonius, Eurydice,
and
Hector.
various others.
Yeah, I can't list them all. But I listed off the ones that I know the myths of for sure, you know? So Apollo, kind of an asshole. Fuckboy. Notable myth, Daphne, the nymph. He pursued Daphne to the point where she literally asked to be turned into a tree to escape his advances. And it was because of Eros. My fucking god, Greek mythology. My fucking god, Greek mythology.
Greek gods.
I'm going to close Aphrodite. We don't need her anymore.
Okay.
All right, back to Zeus. I just want to cover a little bit more on like the sheer amount of kids, right? Like, yeah, Heracles, right? We know Heracles. Hermes as well, another one of the major ones. The Muses are his children. Dionysus, right? Oh, the story of Dionysus is interesting. Dionysus's mother asked to be shown Zeus's true form. It basically dusts her because you can't look upon the image of gods. And so he takes the baby Dionysus and sews him into his own thigh for gestation. And then he's born from Zeus's thigh.
Zeus was a weird man.
Yeah, notably, Hecate, possibly, Heracles, Dionysus, Aphrodite, those are all the same ones. Helen of Troy is said to have possibly been the daughter of Zeus. Let's see. Any other fun ones? Just there's a fucking bug in here and it's gonna drive me nuts. I don't know. I'm gonna cut it there on notable ones because I could keep going, but I feel like
A lot of Greek mythology is spawned from Zeus.
yeah. Oh, where is it? Hold on. There's a famous image. Oh, I was gonna say because there was like a specific family tree that someone made that included like all of Zeus's that had like all of Zeus's children in it, and because of it, it's like almost impossible to like read and understand. There it is.
That shit's like the Type Moon timeline.
No, look at this. Hold on. Open image in new tab. Right. Yeah. Look at this
Enhance.
shit. Look at this shit. Zeus has his own little.
Separate
section. This is just for the mortals. The immortals are still in here. Like, this is a problem. This is a problem.
Here's the thing, like, we get on Hera for getting jealous of Zeus's lovers, but this isn't a reaction like, fuck you, Zeus, you cheated on me. No, this is a reaction of more like, again? A fucking again?
Yeah, genuinely. Like, go off, queen. You deserve it. Like, this man has been so many places.
And they usually cause problems.
They always cause problems. I don't think they've ever not caused problems.
Like, there's times where Hera's being a bitch. Like, she didn't need to be as awful to Heracles as she was. But also,
Heracles was born out of an extramarital affair with Zeus. Like, I challenge you to give me an example of a problem in Greek mythology that was not indirectly created by Zeus. Fucking around with someone he shouldn't have. Like, genuinely.
Well, any problem with Aphrodite would have technically not been directly from Zeus.
Depends on who Aphrodite's having the problem with.
True.
Helen of Troy, potentially
Zeus.
a daughter of Zeus.
Yep.
Anyways, we hate Zeus. I'm shutting chaos and
We don't stand Zeus in this house.
We do not stand Zeus. We are not Zeus stands in this house. We dislike Zeus. Okay, but
Keeping in mind that Zeus killing Kronos ended a golden age. Keep that in mind, too.
that true, yeah. Yeah. And basically led to everything else happening.
And from there you get, like, Astrea leaving in disgust of people.
By the end of the fifth of the ages. All right, so Castor and Pollux, also known as Polydeuces. Fun fact, half brothers. One has a mortal father, one has Zeus as a father. They have the same mother. It's Leda. This is the one that's the swan. He turns himself into a swan in order to have sex with her. This is potentially an example of... there's some debate among scholars as to whether the Greeks believed that there was such a thing as heteropaternal superfecundation, or if this is just a myth thing. Because this is possible. Like, you can have twins born from different fathers to the same mother, right? Because you can. You just have to have sex with two men close enough together. Fun fact. Guess who Castor and Pollux are related to?
Zeus.
Helen of Troy and Clytemnestra. Them being some of the major players in the Trojan War, after all. Those are their twin sisters, Helen and Clytemnestra. Oh. Yeah. These are the twins that are Gemini. That's why.
They're twin. Oh, the two.
They're twin sisters.
So that mother's had another set of twins.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
That poor woman.
And Helen is sometimes called to be the daughter of Zeus, while Clytemnestra was not.
That poor woman.
Yeah. So theoretically, she had. Castor was the mortal son of Tyndareus, the king of Sparta, and then Clytemnestra's mortal father was, I believe, Tyndareus as well. Yeah. And then Pollux and Helen were daughter and son of Zeus. But these are the Gemini twins. So these are the twins that the Greeks believed were represented in the Gemini constellation. I'm a Gemini. That's also why I said Gemini at the end of the last video. It was a good hint. I thought it was a good hint. So it's pretty interesting because there's a lot of different versions of the Greek myths. In some, they are actually brothers and neither is immortal. In some myths, they're both considered the sons of Zeus. But generally, most scholars accept that if one is immortal, it's Castor, and Pollux is the mortal one, right? Of the two, if they're one mortal, one immortal. There's a comment in the Iliad. Helen, right, looks down from the walls of Troy, and seeing that her brothers are not there on the battlefield like all the other great Greek heroes, she wonders where they are. And the author tells us that they are most likely already buried in their homelands of Lacedaemon, right? Which is the other name for Sparta we talked about then. Yeah.
They were on the Argo.
Yes, according to some accounts, they were on the Argo. Yep. They were also both horsemen and boxers, so they're well known for being good athletes. So, of the Argos, right, Pollux was a part of a boxing match to save the mythical people of Bithynia, and they helped Jason and Peleus destroy Iolcus in relation for the treachery of Peleus. Right, we talked about that with the Argonauts. There are some versions of the myth where they do help rescue Helen. Actually, there's versions of the myth where Helen is taken by people other than Aphrodite to Paris. Apparently, in some versions of the myth, she's also been abducted by Theseus, and then they went to Attica to bring her back. In more terms of their life, though, not related to Helen. They were supposed to marry the daughters of the White Horse, Leucipides, Phoebe, and Hilera. Both were already betrothed to their cousins, the twins Lynceus and Idas of Messenia, the sons of their father's brother Apharius. There's so many twins in this story. Because of this, they were married off to some other women in Sparta where they did bear some children. There were some stories kind of about them involving this, and eventually some of these cousins, right, Helen, Paris, Idas, Lynceus, Castor, and Pollux, would set into motion the events that give rise to the Trojan War. Like, for example, Helen was left alone with Paris because Idas and Lynceus set out to go home at one point, because their uncle was supposed to be on his way to Crete, so he left Helen in charge of entertaining the guests, which included both sets of the cousins, you know. So when Castor and Pollux reached their destination of the journey they were on, Pollux began to free the cattle because it was a cattle raid, and Castor climbed a tree to catch watch. Castor was fatally wounded with a blow from a spear and called out to warn Pollux. In the ensuing brawl, Pollux killed Lyncaeus, and Zeus, who had been watching, hurled a thunderbolt down, killing Idas and saving his son. Pollux was then given the choice of spending his time on Mount Olympus or giving half his immortality to his brother. He opted for the latter, obviously, enabling them to live between Hades, or the land of Hades in this case, and Olympus. They became the brightest stars in the Gemini constellation, and it's said that they lived there forever. They're also represented, interestingly enough, in the Eleusinian Mysteries, which is pretty funny because they're not really all that connected with Demeter, but they are represented in them. And some stories say that Poseidon gave them a set of horses to ride because they were such good horsemen. Yeah. So that's a lot of the interesting stuff. There's a lot of statues and art of the two of them together, like represented, because they were very famous. And it helped that they were associated with one of the most popular and well-known constellations, you know. Yeah. There's also an ancient city named after them, and an island. Divine twins are also super popular in Indo-European. So we know Indo-European is a shared language family, right? Like, I've discussed this with you before ad nauseum. Proto-Indo-European is a shared language family that literally goes from Hindu languages to like the English-speaking English languages. And hero twins are really popular. Hero twins are actually popular all over the world because the Maya had a hero twin myth too, the Popol Vuh. I don't know if you need me to cover more.
No, I think you covered the vast bulk of it.
Do you need any more gods touched upon?
You want to review the Persephone myth? Speedrun it, go.
Alright, so, Persephone is the daughter of Demeter. Demeter never let her out, but Persephone was the one who was supposed to help with the harvests and bring the spring. At one point, Hades saw Persephone and was like, I want that poon, right? So he kidnapped her and took her to the underworld. He actually did this with the permission of Zeus, ironically. Demeter was furious when she found out. She did not consent to this, and she did not want her daughter taken away from her. However, she went to see Zeus, and Zeus was like,
bro code.
And at the moment, while this was happening, Persephone ate seeds from the pomegranate given to her in the underworld. If you eat things from the underworld, you have to remain in the underworld for a certain amount of time each year. So, Demeter finally managed to get her daughter back, but because of the seeds she'd eaten, she was beholden to spend at least 6 months of the year in the underworld. Those 6 months of the year then became known as winter and fall, because that is when the earth dies out, and then it's renewed in spring when Persephone returns home, because Demeter literally let the earth die while her daughter was gone. That's the only reason Zeus agreed to give Persephone back. Also, there's potentially an older version of the myth where Kore, Persephone, is the goddess of the underworld, and Hades is not necessarily present. And we have some potential evidence of this in Mycenaean and Minoan and even older sources. So it could be an example of just like the switch to patriarchy that occurred when the Greeks came in, whereas there was like far more presence and power of women in myths before that, but it could also be like two unconnected stories of gods that then later got syncretized together, because the goddess being mentioned in those stories alluded to is called Kore, which is one of the names of Persephone that was given to her later, literally meaning young maiden.
Cool, thank you for that. So, Greek gods here. First off, we've kind of alluded to this a couple times.
We've talked about Artemis.
There's something
Cupid.
fucked going on here.
Yeah.
How do you feel about mecha anime?
It depends.
So, let me lay this on you. The Greek gods are a bunch of mechs, like ancient mechs from outer space.
Created by who?
We'll get into that.
Kronos.
So, basically here, they're the Autobots and Decepticons coming from a far more advanced civilization.
Wait, who are the Decepticons?
Just various different ships.
Oh. Okay. I thought you were going to be like Titans versus Olympians or some shit.
No, not quite.
Damn, that would have been way cool.
They began as primordial beings known as machine gods. The machine gods we know of, but they probably include most of the primordial gods here.
So what you're telling me is Fate has the Goa'uld.
Goa'uld?
The aliens from outer space in Stargate?
Yeah.
With advanced technology who have ships?
Yep.
The
There's a lot of alien shit in Fate.
I know.
So the machine gods we know of, like the original ones so far, are Chaos, Gaia, Uranus,
Oranos.
or Tartarus.
Okay. Yep, that's another one. I forgot to mention his name.
There were probably more because we know there were more primordial Greek gods.
Yeah, like Nyx, Erebus.
But those are the ones mentioned by name specifically.
That's fair. Those are the big ones.
Gaia would then split up into the Titan warships.
Okay.
The ones we know specifically are Kronos, Atlas, Oceanos, Prometheus, Rhea, Tethys, and Themis.
Yep. Which we just talked about, Themis, Rhea, and Kronos.
And
technically, we talked about P. The one with a P name. Starts with a P. Prometheus. Gave fire to humans. He's the dude who has his liver eaten out every single day by an eagle of Zeus tied to the mountaintop. And then it regrows overnight.
And then Kronos would further go on to split off into a few more warships that became the Greek gods.
Yes. Also,
most of them.
Also, Epimetheus, Prometheus' brother, is the one who gave Pandora the charge of the box of the 7 deadly sins and hope. And then she let it out because Pandora and curiosity and hope was the only thing left. Sorry.
So after the initial Greek gods, a little unclear what Greek gods were what. Because at some point the Greek gods cast off their machines and became just more divine. So it's basically servants because they were worshipped as gods.
Okay.
And some gods came after that. Like, I don't imagine Dionysus, like one of the later gods, was at any point a machine god. But, like, some of the earlier ones, like Zeus, Hades, Demeter.
Hades. The original 6,
yeah,
probably.
especially those 6, were definitely, at one point, machines.
Mm-hmm. I think, I would assume Aphrodite, Hephaestus, and Ares would have been the oldest.
They were definitely, yes.
Yeah, and then once you get to, like, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Dionysus.
We know Athena, for sure, was at least kind of one.
So Athena's a little bit on the older side. But then Artemis, Apollo, Hephaestus, those are all children of Zeus, but are they?
They're still machine gods, yeah.
Okay.
It's a little weird how that works. I know some of these were born from...
parts of him or other stuff. Okay. Just wondering.
Because the Olympians and the remainder of the other ships, because we know some of the other Titans are still around for a lot of this landed on Earth, they would be worshipped and form a civilization known as Atlantis. Mm-hmm. Atlantis would, in most Tight Moon timelines, end up being the home of the gods until the good old white Titan Altera or Sephara showed up and wrecked house.
And then Plato talked about it.
Yep.
Wait, actually?
I mean, yeah.
Is that's Fate says that's genuinely a...
Like, that was the fall of Atlantis in Tight Moon, and then Plato talks about Atlantis falling.
Okay. So, the Sea Peoples. We're going with the Sea Peoples. Got it.
During that White Titan debacle, their mechanical bodies were mostly destroyed, and then the human belief kept them as the divine spirits. Mm-hmm. And they would go on to do more bullshit god things and have more bullshit god children. Up until the modern day, ancient Greece... what we understand is the modern ancient Greece mythology, they would just fill out the myths from there.
Okay. Now, let's rewind a bit, because I need to go back to that White Titan so far. Okay. You remember Lost Belts, right? This is where we're getting the majority of a lot of our god lore. Yep, I remember the Lost Belts.
In one Lost Belt, during that White Titan situation, because normally the White Titan is taken out because a hero is forged, the original Excalibur, and they use that to take out the White Titan. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen in this Lost Belt. Okay. So without Excalibur, Zeus instead grabs all the Greek gods he can and forces them to become a Megazord again.
Go Power Rangers!
And Zeus, although they lost a lot of gods still, would manage to take down the White Titan, and Zeus would then decide he would need to rule with hard power over humanity in order to keep them going, instead of coexisting with them in order to maintain a preservational peace. The other gods did not like that.
No, I can imagine not.
And
the Greek gods, the Greeks had a very different relationship with their gods than you would assume. A lot of cultures worship their gods as sort of moral high ground and, you know, people you should model yourself after and kind of these beings of, like, divinity. The Greeks kind of regarded their gods as, like, beings associated with these specific things, But they also knew that their gods were like deeply morally flawed, and the excuse was that they were gods, right? Like many ancient Greek philosophers, like literally wrote about how like Zeus is a terrible role model. He is not moral. You should not look up to him in terms of like what he actually does. But he is the king of the gods.
But we love ourselves a Greek tragedy.
God, we do love ourselves a Greek tragedy.
So basically, Zeus just declared himself king, and when the other gods opposed him, he killed most of them, and the ones that remained, he forcibly reprogrammed. Because remember, they're all still machines.
Aww. I feel bad now.
The ones he forcibly reprogrammed are the majority of the ones we see in FGO. He's shown to hold a level of respect, though, for those who match him in power and stand as gods themselves.
Okay.
But that's sort of the history of the machine gods. So I'll go ahead and move on. We actually do still get designs for the non-machine forms, a lot of these.
Okay.
And we'll come back to Zeus a bit later, give you an idea of him.
Okay.
Our first one we're going to look at, since we've seen her before, is Artemis. This is Artemis's machine form.
Okay.
So we've seen Artemis's normal form already.
Yep.
So I don't need to switch over to that.
I remember that.
So let's see. So this machine Artemis is sort of a satellite that has enough firepower to destroy an entire island. She's the Death Star.
Okay.
So this is obviously a problem. I don't have any animations to show, as there was never a full fight with her for this in the game. But down here, I should be able to find you some CGs of her firing, like right here.
Okay.
And that is her being pierced by an arrow from Orion.
Yes, I do remember that. Oh, and the after effects, I assume?
Yep, and that's just her in full.
Okay.
We'll come back down here in a minute. So, actually, no, we'll just go down there now. But all the gods here are actually capable of splitting off into terminals.
Yeah.
So you do get to see so this is what her terminal was there. You remember this weird artwork.
Yep, I do.
This one, the terminals actually are fully capable of separate thought from the god itself. They function independently. So you can have situations where terminals briefly don't agree and function with the main satellite.
Okay.
So ability-wise, besides firing down fuck you lasers at people, she can deal severe mental damage and drive people mad. Funny thing is, though, and this is the only way they deal with her, her first target happened to be Berserker Caligula, which snapped something in his mad brain back into place, making him the most sane he'd ever been, leading to her not using it ever again, thinking it was just not effective on servants from proper history.
That's amazing.
And then we've seen her NP, the Shooting Star Ortygia.
Yes, we have.
That's what she's firing down as the giant fuck you laser.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, and that is Artemis. Moving on here, I should have us Poseidon.
Yep.
Poseidon here is pretty much a giant-ass submarine.
Valid. Isn't there a class of submarines called the Poseidon class submarine or something?
Probably.
Or Neptune class? Something. I would assume there has to be.
Poseidon in the Lost Belt was one of the gods that actively fought hard against Zeus. But what Zeus ended up doing to him was the equivalent of lobotomizing him.
That sucks.
Once he was machine lobotomized, he would serve as the guard dog to Olympus from Atlantis. Francis Drake would eventually arrive in the Lost Belt and steal one of his computing cores, rendering him berserk and only able to recognize his enemies as Francis Drake. So whenever he's like, he's just target Francis Drake when he sees something he wants to kill.
Amazing.
He is, like, what this thing can do is he's actually capable of terraforming planets to create marine environments.
This reminds me a lot of Stargate. I'm gonna be honest. Like there
I'm
are
glad
elements.
to like tickle the Stargate in you.
Well, because like you remember, did you ever see any of Stargate Atlantis?
No.
Oh, so there's a Stargate Atlantis set in another galaxy. They've got the city that is a ship that floats on water but can be underwater traveling and also traveling through the stars and can also fire off giant fuck you lasers. And it's like kind of sentient but kind of not. Anyways.
So another thing Poseidon here can do is exert gravity on anything in the sea. So if you have a boat on the sea, it just gets dragged right under.
That would make sense. I mean, you have to think about like earthquakes and stuff, like tremors. I mean, even in I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna bring up One Piece. Whitebeard has the Gura no Mi, or the Quake fruit, right? There's literally a scene where he quakes the Earth's floor so hard that the entire ocean, like, destabilizes in a specific location.
And then I guess the last thing here is, obviously, if you're a submarine of that size, you can just ram into something. It's going to do more damage than even Artemis's arrows will do.
Oh, yeah.
Now, to give you an example of how big he is, we don't fight him.
Yep.
What we do is, he's the fucking map.
You know what he reminds me of now? Destiny. From Stargate Universe. Destiny. Man, I need there to be some crossover between the people on our channel who watch Fate and the people who have seen Stargate, because I need some comments about, like, if you also think that this reminds you a little bit of Stargate Atlantis and Stargate Universe.
Quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Nasu has seen Stargate, because, like, that man is a sci-fi nerd.
You know what? It seems like the kind of thing that Nasu would have seen.
Like, the more you look into, like, late-type moon lore, like, stuff that takes place far in the timeline...
You get references to, like, Star Wars
You start seeing, like, sci-fi elements brought in, and that's not ignoring the Servant Universe shit.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're going to move on here to Hephaestus, or Prometheus
Can
Hephaestus.
I look up something really quick?
Yeah.
This is why I say it reminds me a little bit of Destiny.
It looks like...
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Destiny. Yeah.
Okay. We're on the right page.
Okay.
So
Prometheus Hephaestus.
Yes. I didn't tell you to look up Prometheus because this ends up being more Hephaestus than Prometheus.
I mentioned him enough.
Yeah.
His big thing is stealing fire to give to humans.
Hephaestus as a machine god was just straight up killed by Zeus.
Aww.
But, he was a little bit too important for the continued construction and reconstruction of Olympus as well as their weapons.
You would think.
So he was split into an AI network that operated on Olympus and Atlantis. This specific core is actually was hidden from Zeus, and this one is in the Olympus's version of the underworld. This is tickling. I guess I didn't think to do this before, but can you pass me the keyboard? I'm just going to show you what Olympus looks like here.
You want me to just type in FGO Olympus?
Yeah, go ahead. Type in the FGO Olympus map.
It'll understand me.
So that's some artwork there of Olympus.
Is this what I'm looking at?
Yep. That's all it.
Oh,
just at various different points.
Yeah, okay. Trade you for... Atlantis.
Nice.
Yeah. You see what I mean, though. Very similar. Okay.
So, Hephaestus, or Prometheus Hephaestus here, has the ability to regenerate life from dead material... Sorry, no, that's the wrong one. He possesses the ability to create divine constructs, or noble phantasms, basically, through extractions of godly authority. He can also grant that divinity to servants, or even people in Olympus, so just the average person being given some power of Zeus to make them really strong in everything, or immortal. Mm-hmm. But each of these, I'm not going to go over them all here, but each of the divinities, a lot of them do come with their own downsides. Like, side effects may include death.
Yeah. That's fair.
All right. We're going to go ahead and move on here to
Demeter.
So this is the first one we have actually the human version available to see.
Look at that yeasty girl.
Yeah. This is one of the terminals you see, although we have evidence that outside of Artemis, a lot of these terminals look the same in human and Lost Belt.
I like it.
But we also have here, this is her machine form.
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, that's Olympus as a city.
Okay. Which, okay.
What?
That dead ass just looks like Atlantis from Stargate. No, because that's what the ship looks like when you're like looking out one of the windows at the other towers.
I guess yeah. Here, this is just she has like a different form here.
Oh.
Let's go here because I actually have some artwork of her here. Since there's no CEs, we'll just do this now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh. Oh. Mommy.
So
Were you not going to show me the other art?
Hmm?
The other one? Thank you.
the pomegranate.
Mommy. Pretty sure that's melon bread.
Is that melon?
I think that's melon pun.
Ah,
I mean, it just looks like melon pun.
you're right.
Persephone's the one with the pomegranate.
That's
Get
right.
it right.
So Demeter, upon voicing discontent with Zeus, would cause him to just have her driven mad. So mad that she ended up killing Persephone, and which would just drive her even more insane.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, if she goes on a rampage, she's just basically to get Zeus to get her to go on a rampage, will force her to start looking for Persephone.
Okay.
This form here is strong enough to the point where Zeus just uses it to wipe out entire city blocks and then recreate them if he wants to kill an undesirable element in there.
Awesome.
We'll go down here ability. So,
factory reset.
yeah, basically. So she has the ability to regenerate from the life of dead material around her, meaning you have to kill her faster than she regenerates. This is an active problem to FGO players. This was a really hard boss fight.
I can imagine.
She has a little sense of combat strategy other than spamming her noble phantasm.
We hate bosses that regenerate as they fight. They're the worst.
Oh yeah, she's also a caster.
Oh, interesting. The one who crosses the sea of stars, authority of earth, authority over the harvest, authority of a mother, the morning mother. Yeah. Scream Eleusis. Hey! Eleusinian mysteries.
We're going to go ahead and click into here.
Oh, Jesus.
So this MP breaks down old organic material into reusable resources. She uses this to destroy entire districts in the city and was able to defeat at least 3, if not more, servants at once effortlessly. One of which was T.H.E, which you'll remember as being strong.
Broken. Strunk boy.
All right. I am going to show you a fight with her, a little bit of it.
Ooh. Were you going to show me that thing with Poseidon?
I showed you the quick little map there, but that's all for Poseidon. There wasn't much more.
Oh, that's what the YouTube video is there for?
Yeah.
Hey, look, you even found Orion fighting her.
Yeah, I found this one because it's an Orion solo. Everyone else here is going to die. Let's go and... We can mute this if it gets us copywritten.
I mean, to be fair, it shouldn't if we talk over it, so...
Hopefully not.
That's a fun thing, because you're also hearing him talking.
Yeah.
As well as us. Come on, Orion. Ooh, Florence Nightingale.
So we're just getting a...
Continental grade crushing mechanism. Okay. Come on. Jesus. Oh, I guess, is this Grand Archer Orion or whatever?
Yeah, that's Super Orion
why
there.
Okay, that's why he's still going. It's Super Orion. So basically, it's just how much damage can you do the damage before she regenerates it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That fight is like PTSD inducing.
You might want to close some tabs as you go.
Okay, we'll collapse this. Unless you wanted to see more of the map here, I don't know
you're
if I'll
good.
show you. Okay.
You're
We'll
good.
clear this out. At least, yeah, we can clear all these out because I'm not coming back to this for CEs either. No CEs. So our next servant here is Aphrodite.
Ooh. I like the skulls and the cat ears. And the cigarette in her hand?
Yep. And then we have, this is her spaceship form.
Impressive.
Let's go over here, get some extra artwork.
Ooh. She pretty.
That's the sprite.
Yep. Okay.
No extra artwork today.
No, none.
Okay. So, to my knowledge, Aphrodite is the only Greek god from the Lost Belt here that we've seen outside the Lost Belt. In fact, she's our proof that they should look similar, if not the same. Because where we saw her, she just had the same sprite.
Yeah.
Aphrodite sort of so Aphrodite, all the gods went against Zeus in some way. Aphrodite, after things were over, Zeus stripped her of her ability to feel a specific type of love, which just makes her even more of a bitch than she already was in normal mythology.
Okay.
This version apparently did find love with Hephaestus, but once he was killed by Zeus, there was just nothing left after that for her.
Okay.
She believes, this Aphrodite in the Lost Belt believes that beauty is about control and power.
Okay.
Like the other Greek gods, she's just going to tend to spam her NP. But she will also fire lasers at her enemies here. Her NP, and I'll go down here so you can see her skills here.
Yeah.
Her NP here.
Mind hack Mycenae.
Yep. Basically, she has the ability to just exert straight up mind control on others. This would cause the many servants that fought her to just kill each other before killing themselves.
Oof. Jesus.
And yeah.
Mycenae is the name of the civilization that existed slightly before archaic Greece, but a little bit after the Minoans, I believe. I could have it the other way around, but I do believe the Mycenaeans are theoretically when we think that the Trojan War happened, according to the layers of Troy that have been excavated and the stories. Theoretically, we think it may have been a Mycenaean conflict, which would actually make sense with the whole mind hack. Also, Aphrodite, progenitor of the Romans, according to the story of the Aeneid.
Yeah.
Which we talked about.
So, we have another boss fight here.
Okay. I see a little Rainbow Velvet.
This one won't get us copyrighted. You'll find out what that fucker is later.
Didn't we see that in,
You might have seen it.
Himiko?
I don't
Or
think
Cha-Cha?
so. No.
Oh, it's not Cha-Cha's stepfather or whatever? Okay. Jesus.
Scotty and Space Ishtar.
Yeah. What an overpowered fucking...
Team?
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, that was the meta.
That's fair.
I'm gonna skip a little till they're done skill firing. See if I can get some of her animations here. We've seen this.
Okay.
So given that they're returning it here, I don't think we'll get to see the actual NP being fired, but it's not a very spectacular animation.
Okay.
What it did in gameplay here is she's trying to apply a debuff to these people.
And it wasn't working because of Skahak Scotty.
Yes, but if she had applied it and she dropped her NP, that servant would just be dead when she dropped her NP.
Awesome.
So next up here is going to be...
Athena.
Yes, Athena.
I can read the tab, so...
Athena is dead, by the way, in the Lost World.
Oh,
like Zeus killed her. She's
actually,
gone.
You know what? That makes sense. Of all the people who would have fought against him successfully,
yeah,
it would have been Athena.
So, that said, she would leave behind a mechanical owl, which would carry her divinity that she called Minerva,
as in the Roman goddess Minerva.
Yep. So that's all I wanted to do was just show off Minerva here.
Oh,
precious
Minerva's
little
so
thing.
Cute.
Until she's destroyed.
Shut the fuck up. I refuse to acknowledge.
So, next up here,
Zeus.
Zeus.
Oh, honkin' big boy. Jesus.
So that's actually misleading at what he looks like there, but you'll probably see it better here. So, this is actually the backside of Zeus.
Okay.
If you look here, that's what Zeus looks like.
Yes. Okay.
I should have some extra art of Zeus here.
Okay. I do like that he has a bunch of vocal lines.
Oh, they all had some vocal lines.
I
here.
know, but I'm saying that's fun. Yeah, you do have some extra art. Okay. 1, 2. Oof. Sir, I think parts of you are missing.
I think you're broken, sir.
Yeah, you're broken, sir. Ooh.
Okay, we have this.
I mean, you know what it kind of looks like? Recolored, rehydrated Ganondorf. Have you seen all the Ganondorf art recently? All right.
Oh, that's official.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I've seen
But that's
that.
what I'm saying. It looks like that. Although somebody did Rule 63 him, and it is stunning. He looks very similar. Anyways. It's just the general facial kind of shape and draw. And just the fact that he's built like a fucking brick shit house. Like, literally. Like, goddamn.
Hey, look at them abs.
Look at that. No wonder he had so many kids. I mean, look at the muscles in his legs. Holy shit. Man's muscles have muscles.
So Zeus here loves the adoration of humanity, but is compelled by his original initiative that he was given. Zeus is compelled to harvest resources from Earth for the fleet, at least when he's a machine god.
Okay.
He's extremely prideful, but those he sees as equals and those not impeding him, he will treat them with a great deal of respect, even defending them from the other gods he had around still.
Okay.
In this timeline, he's probably the kindest and as well as the cruelest of the machine gods. Weirdly enough. But that's just because he didn't exactly leave them with much going.
That's fair.
So I'm going to come down here to abilities. Zeus is omnipotent and can exert pressure on those merely in his presence. It is enough mental pressure that it can basically act as gravity to anything that has the ability
So
to
he
think.
has hockey.
Hockey. Oh, yeah. I know
So you haven't gotten to hockey yet.
I think I've heard this before.
But he has hockey.
And then...
Or, in the case of Bleach, immense spiritual pressure.
If I remember right, being omnipotent, he can theoretically see all. It's just a matter of, does he know where to look? With the exception of he can't see underground.
Is that for a particular reason, or just...
Hades, the underworld.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then, can he see in the oceans?
Well, he's got Poseidon for that.
Oh, because Poseidon is his bitch. Okay.
Yeah.
So Hades is not his bitch then.
Hades is dead at this time, but the underworld or the underground area that's still Hades' domain is still accessible.
Hades Idoneus.
For maybe some insurgents.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's his history of the Titan.
Okay. Yeah, I remember so far.
Then obviously he's Zeus. He's got lightning.
Yeah, man's big lightning boy.
Look at that. Look at that.
Big lightning boy. I see that Romulus Quirinius name drop.
I mean, that's what they had to do to fight him.
That's fair.
And then he can just turn off, like, concepts.
Oh, fun.
Like space-time.
Oh, fun. Ooh, skills. One who crossed the sea of stars. Yep, makes sense. Divine core of the chief god. Authority of lightning. Authority of earth. Authority of love. Authority of sky. Anagenesis. I recognize that word. That's it. Branching of the evolutionary line of descendancy.
Yep.
Anthropology. Baptism of gravitations. World discipline Keranos.
This is a thing he did, too, here.
Yep, the curse on Sherlock. Oh, poor baby. Precious baby.
So yeah, his NP here is called World Discipline Kronos.
Can
This is an anti-dimension and anti-star attack that assaults reality itself and can kill all life within range.
Yeah, I see that. Anti-planet, anti-star system, anti-dimension, anti-space-time, anti-concept.
Yeah.
It's a little anti, don't you think?
Just a bit. So we'll go ahead and move here because we have a boss fight.
No.
Oof.
Is that Romulus Cornelius?
Yes, in fact, he is arguably one of the most important pieces in beating him here.
Oh. Come on, Romulus Cornelius. I believe in you.
Actually, they might be chucking Romulus into the sun here.
What do you mean?
Nope, they killed him. Okay, no, it's just Zeus and Romulus. So,
Look, Waver! Lord El Meloy! Truly, God tier.
I probably could
I
get...
don't think what you're looking for is happening.
There we go.
Oh, okay. So he big lightning boy.
Yeah.
Basically. Romulus Cornelius, I believe in you. You know I do.
So, yeah. That is the Zeus boss fight. Actually, it's fun because there's just 3 segments that you switch between.
Cool.
Yep. So next up we have Ares.
That looks like Ares. That top part is very obviously inspired from the traditional design of like Spartan helmets.
So here's the funny thing about Ares. Ares in the Lost Belt was just destroyed. He's gone. Obviously, of the rebelling gods, you want to get rid of that god of war there.
Yeah. I do like that one of his also known as is just Mr. God of War. I don't know who called him that, but I like... Ooh, show me that.
I'll show you this first, because this is Ares fighting Zeus.
Oh. Yeesh.
And that is the full body of Ares.
So Ares is truly a Gundam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. You'll remember that they said that Altera took his sword.
Yeah.
I think that's implied to be that, or at least like something in that.
Oh, okay.
So his NP is the Teardrop Photon Ray. We've seen that before.
Yep, seen it.
See, though, we didn't... In the Lost Vault, since he was already dead, we still wanted his help in FGO. So what they did is, I believe they used Romulus Quirinus to summon Ares. And because they're in the Lost Vault, it summons his machine god form.
Interesting.
Or they use Romulus Quirinus combined with a weird mecha that's involved with Kentucky called the Golden Bear.
Okay.
Or the Mega Golden Bear, or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, you're welcome to look at this if you want.
Roar of the War God, Crimson Strike, Sword of the War God, and there's Sword of Mars, Photon Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Romulus states that Altera's Teardrop Photon Ray is Ares' true sword. Yeah.
So, moving on, Chaos.
Yep.
Chaos here, or, the Greek concept of nothing, was what sent the alien ships to begin with.
Kausu.
Kausu.
Pull this back to Katekyo.
It's what sent those ships and built those ships to begin with. It's capable, or it is incapable of recognizing humanity at all. Like, humanity's basically bacteria.
Yeah, too small, too primitive.
Yeah, like to
Too
Zeus,
tiny.
humanity are ants.
Yeah.
And Earth is just his ant farm.
Yeah.
Chaos here, no, they just aren't there.
Yeah, they just not a thing.
The way they explain it, or their best guesses, like in game, like Da Vinci, the crew of Chaldea, their best guesses to what this is they guess that Chaos is a Dyson sphere surrounding a distant star.
Okay.
That has been fitted with technology it needs to create mechanical life.
Okay.
It's what has Zeus collecting resources. And yeah. The biggest problem about Chaos here is that he's just fucking huge. And he's so far away you can't reach him.
Yeah.
Even if you could reach him, you would probably just disintegrate with how much energy he puts off.
Okay.
In FGO, we never get to actually fight him. We see him. He's scary. We basically send someone to die and shut the door on him.
Oh.
So yeah, that's Chaos.
Cool.
I don't think I have any better artwork. Oh, that's...
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a lot of... So,
Dioscuri.
finally, the actual servant, the Dioscuri.
Ooh.
Let's go ahead and hop over here. So, one of them is gender bent.
Okay, is it Castor or Pollux?
I believe Castor is the gender bent one, but let me triple check that.
Castoria. I'm kidding.
Sorry, no, it's Pollux
It's
that's
Pollux.
gender bent.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I would have guessed. Oh, they're so cute.
That's them in the Gemini.
Yeah. Yeah, because Gemini. Yeah. Oh, I love their sprites. Yeah. No, they look really good. I really enjoy this design. Oh, goodness, look at them. Look at the preciouses.
So, these two here, they are in the Atlantic Lost Belt, actually.
Yep.
They were divine spirits, although we don't know for sure whether or not at one point they were mechanical. Obviously, one of them was human.
Yeah.
But we know for a fact that at one point, one of the cryptors, you remember them from Consort U, right?
Yep.
One of them shows up, wrecks their shit, and kills them.
Oh.
And then resummons them as divine spirits.
Ah. Okay.
And let's see here. They still have their memories of the Lost World, but because they were summoned by a cryptor from actual history, they also had their memory of history. That rendered Castor here, I believe, insane. Like, not insane. It rendered him angry at humanity for, I think, not valuing the gods enough and letting the gods not be around anymore. Pollux was a lot less bloodthirsty, though.
Yeah.
She's often holding him back at least a little bit, the slightest bit. In proper human history, the designs remain the same. In fact, that's the version we summon. It's just their temperaments are different.
Okay.
Pollux remains largely unchanged, but Castor is more angry at the gods than they are at, than he is at humans.
Okay.
Because of this, because of that anger, though, they actually serve as two classes. They are both Saber and Avenger. You have Saber here in Pollux, and Castor here is an Avenger.
Okay.
Let's go down here. They have a lot of skills.
Yeah.
I guess you also have the relationships.
Oh.
These are fun because they're back and forths.
Oh, okay, so Roman servants, Castor. Gemini, you say? Ah, I'm sure it's how they call us in Rome, brother. Is that so? The ring of it isn't quite that bad. Do you like it? I didn't say I like it, did I? The Argonaut servants. Sister, we had adventures on that ship, didn't we? Yes, brother, we had them. Heracles was a really good warrior. Absolutely. No, wait, sister. Did you, without me knowing? With Heracles? No, I did not. I'll kill you, brother. Valid. Ship-related servants. Okay. As if we'd protect humans. No, we'll protect them. They need our protection. I don't care what happens to humans. We'll protect them. What happens to humans? I'll be sad if the humans die. Why? Because you two were human once, brother. Oh. Guilt trip!
Oh, and then we have here, you can see some of the...
Oh, yeah.
You see
there they are.
Castor back there.
Yeah.
That's not Pollux, by the way.
Yeah. I didn't think it was. Okay. Alright, so skills. Okay, I know all the main ones.
So these are tied to Avenger here.
Yeah, I know all those. Divine Core of the Twin Gods. Okay. As the Divine Gods. The one without the blood of the gods. That's why it downranks. Okay. Stars of the Chief God. Guardians of Navigation. Okay. Yeah. Mana Burst, Light Ancient. Makes sense. And then their Noble Phantasm is Dioscuri's Tindaridae.
So in this one, the twins act in unison, and this allows them to A, be a deadly combination, and B, it increases their divinity to be nearly capable of achieving the rank of God.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to give that a read, and then I'll switch over to the YouTube.
Upon release of their true name, they are temporarily able to almost entirely regain the divinity of an ancient god. Interesting.
So we're going to go ahead and... We do not have an arcade at this time, unfortunately.
I do really like their art and design. Oh my goodness! Yes! Oh my god. Okay. Favorite sprite in FGO. No, seriously. Favorite sprite in FGO. Like, they're so dynamic together. Like, I love watching this. It's actually really interesting. You know?
Mm-hmm.
恐れよ天にて輝くんだ地域の星我らはここに降り立たん気をつけやせ龍眼神
For once, I'm going to say this with all sincerity, their regular skill attacks, right, in normal combat are way cooler than their NP. Like, their NP is...
It's because they're so dynamic and they're like...
Yeah, like, they're literally like...
It's like watching a really good anime scene with fight scene with two people involved.
They're literally dancing around each other in the fight, and then it just gets cycled down to, like, spinning around one another on their own. Love it, though. I absolutely adore the way that their sprites move in-game.
So, unlike the Greek gods, obviously, we have CEs and extra artworks to look at.
Yay! You want me to... Here we go.
Look, a baseball.
I know.
Baseball.
And you somehow managed to not open it. Hey, this is the third artist, I think. Yeah. Officially, I think this is the third artist.
Different team.
Yep. The different colors, different design. But yeah, I love them together. That's adorable. That's all their regular art. Okay. Icons. Sprites. Yes. I love their poses. Those are their weapons. Okay. They just have such good poses together. Like, you know, you can like see. It looks great. Okay. Expression sheets. I'm just looking. Fun. Others. Oh, just their little sprite.
Yeah, no, they're
All
relatively new, actually.
Right. Okay. Alright. Starlight Sword and Discus.
So this is their Bond CE.
This is our armament, and that's all you need to know, brother. What is it, sister? Perhaps it's best if you elaborate a bit more. After all, it's not often for a human to journey with us this far. They have the other folks from the Argo who can do the explaining, but maybe you're right. If they have some time to spare, I guess I can talk a little bit more about it. Very good, brother. Our armament consists of my sister's sword and my disc. Both are essentially made of light, or starlight. The invincible adamas, known as divine steel, was used in its construction. Adamas is also used in the heroic spirit Odysseus' armor and noble phantasm. And I think Achilles' shield and armor were also made from adamas. Is that so? Maybe, I think. Perhaps it's best to ask him personally, brother. That's a good idea, sister. So there you have it, master. We have some business to attend to, so we'll be off now.
A quick little conversation with Achilles and Odysseus.
Yeah. I like it. Oh my goodness, look at them! Look, they're on the cake! And then they're there!
Look, it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Dumbass.
That's so rude. I love it. Twinkle Star. Decorations resembling the twins and starry candles lit up dazzle on top of a cake. While the older brother has absolutely no interest in human customs, he shuts his mouth quietly, seeing the delighted expressions on his sister's face. After all, today's a special day. Happy Christmas. That's adorable. That's right, you shut up. You let your sister have fun things. Gemini sweets. So here's the Gemini symbol.
Yep.
In stuff. And then there's the actual star map, star chart. And there's the two of them facing one another. And their shield and sword. And whatever the fuck that is. I don't know.
I don't know.
Something to do with their design, I'm sure. It is chocolate fashioned after the twin stars. No mere obligatory gift, but rather a chocolate blessing. Or so Castor insists, but she made it after her brother asked her, aren't you going to do anything? She made enough chocolate blessings for all the heroes of Chaldea, so giving them out has been an ordeal. Aww. St. Elmo's fire. Okay. I assume that's the Argo. Supposed to be or something?
Probably.
So, St. Elmo's fire is a phenomenon that can occur on planes. Often it occurs on. But it's I'm sure there's other references to it, but it is actually a natural phenomena that occurs. I do believe, let's see, because I was reading about planes. Planes sometimes have to deal with this. It's a weather phenomena with plasma created by discharge from something, usually like something's in the air. Planes can do this in an electric field in the atmosphere. British Airways Flight 009 invented it, but basically it can happen during volcanic eruptions very often if planes fly through volcanic eruptions, and it creates like a huge glow and hissing and buzzing around it that's like bright blue. And it, like, people did not know that it could occur on planes around volcanic eruptions, basically until British Airways Flight 009, which flew through a massive volcanic eruption and saw St. Elmo's fire like several times. The plane actually almost went down because of it. It's a very famous flight. It was the Jakarta incident. But yeah, I watched air crash documentary and investigations. So I remember this. It used to be called Witch's Fire. Yeah. But it can also warn of lightning strikes, which is interesting. Especially since one is the son of Zeus.
So before you continue here, I do want to point out that the last one was a Valentine's CE. This one's also a Valentine's CE. Because there's both Castor and Pollux.
Oh, so you get one from each.
Yeah, anytime you have a gender-ambiguous servant or a servant where there's more than one gender, like here, you just get... There's two.
Castor hadn't planned on doing anything for this occasion, but he changed his position after his sister scolded him, insisting that he should give you something in return for your chocolate. Its radiance is St. Elmo's fire, so often seen flickering above the seas. Yeah. It happened a lot on ships a long time ago when they were sailing through storms. I remember this.
Club Argonautica.
And now I know who some of the people in this image are.
You can see Castor.
There's Orion. There's
I
Castor.
don't see Pollux, though, so... I think this is a host club, that's
Yeah,
why.
I think it's a host club. One of these fucking... Jason?
That's Jason in the front right there.
That's what I thought. That's Jason. And then I just don't know him, or him.
Yep.
Cool. I'm good? I'm good. But we already read this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip this. Hey! This is like one of our first in a while. Got it in one.
Were you guessing the location?
Yeah. So, look. Mykonos is famous for these. Santorini and Mykonos. I've actually been here. For a day or two. Briefly when I was in high school, during a trip I took with school. But I was there. Fun fact, I think that's actually the volcanic island I fucking had to hike. I was not told I would have to hike a volcano.
You were not wearing hiking stuff.
I was not wearing hiking stuff. It was horrible. It was beautiful, but it was horrible. I actually have a really pretty picture from like the sunset that I saw from like here. Something happened to my phone and I took a picture of the sunset. There's nothing in the image except for the sun setting over the ocean. Something happened. The entire image is tint shaded green. Every part of the light is green instead of the oranges that I was looking at. I didn't change a single setting on my computer. There wasn't a reflection of anything, but the entire image is in shades of green.
That's weird.
Yeah. Anyways, this is a very famous location. It is like the location that they put on postcards from Greece. It's the famous blue domes, white buildings. But yeah.
Wasn't it in Aquaman?
I think so, yeah. Yep. The 6th. Yeah, since today is a day to be celebrated, think back to the path that you have walked with heroic spirits, and then we will continue on our way towards a new and exciting journey. I like it.
So yeah, that's the Dioscuri.
I mean, I'm kind of here for like, you know, go Power Rangers, Voltron Assemble, you know?
Oh yeah, and the Greek gods.
Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm getting major Stargate vibes from the Greek gods. I mean, I'm sure that there are plenty of other references and a lot of it's
they're probably a
original,
reference to a lot of things.
But yeah, I'm getting like major vibes. I love the twins. I think they're great. Like genuinely. Man, this whole month has been a fucking bop.
Besides the twins, who was your favorite of the Greek gods?
Of the gods? Ares, hands down.
The straight up mecha.
Yeah, no, that was hella cool. Like dead ass.
Then obviously you fucking love the twins.
I do. I love them a lot. Yeah, you know, and then I'm a Gemini. This is my star sign.
You have a great servant repping you.
I do. I have like one of the best servants repping me. I love my servant. Anyways, but yeah, I really like it. And look, not feature length.
Not quite, yeah.
Technically feature length, but not feature length.
More of a special.
Yeah. All right, I've got a hint, and it's going to require people to do a little bit of like concentration and digging, but it's fairly obvious if they listen. Okay, so the fate of the Norns before the headland, thou findest in doom of a fool. In the water shalt drown if thou row against the wind. All danger is near to death. We'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe.
Bye.